Love, in its modern form, is not what you believe it to be. You may call it affection, passion, or even destiny. But strip away the poetry and you'll find something colder, sharper, an arena of control, leverage, and veiled threats. To the naive, love is purity. But to the strategist, it is theater, a game where masks matter more than vows, and where sincerity is often the first casualty. If you walk into this domain with your heart as your guide, understand this: you've already surrendered. The dynamics between men and women have never been equal, nor were they ever meant to be. They shift like tides, always pulled by deeper gravitational forces: fear, need, validation, dominance. The wise man learns not to deny this, but to navigate it. Modernity has dressed courtship in prettier garments: text messages, filtered selfies, synthetic declarations of devotion. But beneath the surface, it's no different than it was in Florence centuries ago. A contest of who bends and who resists. He who bends first is remembered least. You think she wants peace? Let me correct your illusion. Peace is not the elixir that holds her attention. Peace is taken for granted. The man who offers her emotional tranquility becomes her emotional wallpaper. She does not ache for peace. She craves tension. The very uncertainty that ignites her imagination, fuels her heartbeat, and keeps her returning. If she can read you completely, predict you entirely, own you emotionally, she will shelve you. You are no longer a mystery. You are a solved equation, and solved equations bore. This isn't about cruelty. It is about understanding nature. Machiavelli wrote not of roses and poetry, but of war and politics, because that is the landscape where human truths are most naked. And the relationship game is no different. It is war in disguise. Subtle battles, passive sieges, delayed retreats, calculated pursuits. Emotional terrain is just another battlefield. And she, whether she admits it or not, is playing. If you are not, then you are her game piece. Power, then, becomes the true currency. Not affection, not flowers, not pledges spoken under the haze of lust. Power is emotional gravity. The moment you stop trying to be chosen and instead become the force that others orbit, you enter a different league. A league where your silence is louder than another man's serenade, where your absence burns brighter than another man's constant presence. Understand the ancient truth. Exclusion is terror. Rejection has always carried the sting of death. In primitive societies, to be left behind meant extinction. Cast out from the tribe, you didn't just lose companionship, you lost warmth, food, protection. Evolution, ever the cruel teacher, hardwired this fear into the nervous system. And it has survived through millennia. It's there now, in the anxious tapping of a screen, in the compulsive checking of re-ed receipts, in the sharp inhale when a message is left unanswered. Women, attuned more deeply to social threat due to centuries of dependency on alliance and protection, carry this fear with unique intensity. The man who is always present, always reachable, always affirming, he removes all danger. He creates no vacuum, no gap, no lack. And without lack, there is no hunger. That is the fatal mistake. If you are always visible, your silhouette vanishes from her imagination. You become a shadow walking at noon, there, but meaningless. You must become a mirage instead. Seen, then not. Heard, then silent. Known, then doubted. This ambiguity triggers the ancient code buried in her instincts. She becomes unsure, and in that uncertainty she begins to chase, not with her feet, but with her thoughts. You occupy space not by saying more, but by disappearing more selectively. The man who replies instantly is never questioned. But the man who takes his time becomes a question mark in her world, and questions demand answers. It is not disdain that breeds this. It is value. Rarity breeds obsession. A gem exposed to the sun daily becomes glass. A man who offers his attention without resistance becomes a commodity. But the one who withholds, not out of pettiness, but out of strategic poise, becomes an enigma. An enigma breeds curiosity, and curiosity is the seed of longing. Do not be cruel, be scarce, not out of ego, but out of awareness. Your time is not infinite, your energy not disposable. Let her see that to bask in your presence requires her movement, not just yours. Make her work, not out of spite, but out of structure. Humans only value that which they must labor to possess. Next, you must abandon your obsession with logic. Logic is a dead language in the theater of seduction. A resume, a balanced spreadsheet, a list of accolades. These are admirable in the court of business, but impotent. In the realm of romance, you may declare your net worth, your assets, your status, but know this: while her ears may listen, her emotions remain untouched. And it is not the ear you must seduce. It is the stomach, the chest, the nerve, the breath. Facts do not enthrall. Emotion does. A man who presents his achievements like a brochure is no different from the countless others she scrolls past. But the one who paints his life as an unfolding narrative, one where his role is both noble and uncertain, becomes a character she can't dismiss. Don't say you're a manager. Say you're the one who finds order inside daily chaos. Don't say you work in software. Say you build invisible things that suddenly come to life. Why? Because poetry seduces where statistics cannot. Metaphor stirs what data silences. Let your words evoke, not explain. Let them suggest, not declare. Logic is a courtroom. Emotion is an opera. And no one dreams of marrying a judge. They dream of being swept away by a conductor. Machiavelli never told a woman what he did. He showed her what he was. Through controlled silence, implied danger, and the magnetic pull of restraint, he didn't inform, he transformed. Learn from this. Become a moment, not a memo. A memory, not a monologue. Now consider the plague of this era. Abundance of validation. The digital world has infected attention with inflation. Women now swim in oceans of compliments. Every image they share is met with fire emojis, empty praises, synthetic admiration. You're gorgeous. You're a queen. I'd do anything for you. Words tossed like confetti by men who think generosity of flattery is virtue. It is not. It is noise. And noise is ignored. Validation without context is like wine without flavor. The first sip may tingle, but soon it becomes forgettable. She doesn't remember the one who praised her. She remembers the one who made her earn the praise. Scarcity, once again, is your ally. Compliments, if given too soon, signal desperation. They strip you of mystery and declare your submission. But if you are measured, if you delay your approval, if you observe before speaking, if your admiration arrives only after she offers something of substance, then your words become currency. She doesn't discard them. She collects them. She replays them. Because they came from a man who doesn't flinch. From a man whose gaze is not given, but chosen. Let your attention be earned like royalty grants favor. Not freely, but with ceremony. The moment she sees that your praise is rare, she will adjust her posture. She will strive. She will recalibrate. That is not vanity, it is psychology. And a woman in pursuit is more deeply invested than a woman pursued. Do not be the prize. Be the architect of your own valuation. Let her understand that you are not to be rushed, not to be claimed without effort. When she finally feels the weight of your approval, it will not feel like ego. It will feel like elevation. Even stability must carry an undertone of danger. Too many men mistake consistency for safety, and safety for seduction. Yes, she wants security, but not at the expense of passion. The predictable man is respected but rarely desired. He is the banker, the scheduler, the reliable but unmemorable presence. But the man who is both dependable and occasionally defiant, that man becomes unforgettable. Surprise her, not with extravagance, but with deviation. If she assumes your Friday routine is set in stone, change it. If she knows how you'll respond, hesitate. Let her see you are not entirely mapped, that a part of you remains wild, unscripted. This duality, trust and tremor, is the alchemy. It creates emotional motion, and emotion is the only bond stronger than habit. She wants to feel safe beside you, yes, but also electrified by the unknown that hides behind your eyes. The illusions of exclusivity are delicate tools. Most men, in their hunger for feminine favor, make the fatal error of centering her world too quickly, flooding her with devotion, attention, and flattery, as if monopolizing focus alone will secure loyalty. It does not. Rather, it drains the mystique and removes the uncertainty her subconscious craves. The woman who is placed upon a pedestal from the first moment sees not a throne, but a mirror of predictability. And nothing is more forgettable than a man who makes himself fully available before being fully understood. She must not only desire you, she must fear losing you. That fear cannot be declared, it must be implied. And the most refined implication is the presence of options, not spoken loudly, not paraded with arrogance, but woven delicately into the fabric of your social conduct. Mentioning a sharp observation from another woman, a suggestion received during a coffee meeting, a subtle nod to female. Voices within your sphere. These are not provocations. They are shadows cast deliberately. She may not comment, but her mind takes note. You do not offer her competition to arouse jealousy like a boy, but to awaken tension like a sovereign. Let her mind wrestle with doubt. Let her wonder what these other women see in you. Let her compare herself in silence. And in that comparison, a fire will build. Not always visible, but always consuming. The validation she once took for granted begins to feel conditional. She begins to work, to position herself, to earn proximity once freely given. That is not cruelty. It is hierarchy. And hierarchy governs attraction more firmly than any poetic confession ever could. Mystery, when wielded with precision, becomes your strongest weapon. Humans are not drawn to what they know. They are addicted to what they almost understand, to what hovers just beyond clarity. A woman handed the full ledger of your past, present, and emotional interiors will read it once, then set it down. But if you hand her only fragments, only echoes, her mind will assemble the rest. Not because she is deceived, but because her imagination requires completion. And the imagined man is always more powerful than the explained one. Let her ask herself what you meant by the way you paused during a story. Let her remember the way you looked away instead of answering a question. Let her dwell on the message you didn't send, the opinion you held back, the part of your past you refused to disclose. These small withdrawals are not absence. They are provocations. Provocations to thought, to emotion, to obsession. Because the mind, once entangled in a mystery, returns to it involuntarily. You do not lie. You do not perform. You simply withhold with elegance, with purpose, with restraint. And that restraint becomes your signature. She will try to decode you. She will play the analyst. She will guess, probe, speculate, and each attempt deepens her investment. Not in your answers, but in your mystery. Because she is not falling in love with who you are. She is falling into the space between what she knows and what she doesn't. That liminal fog where desire is born. Leadership, when true, does not raise its voice. It raises its presence. And in romance, as in the Republic, a man who must declare himself in charge is not. Control is not claimed through command. It is accepted through calm. Women today are taught to carry swords of independence, and rightly so. But even the strongest wish to rest from battle. And they will only lay down their armor in the presence of a commander who does not need their surrender, but commands it through energy alone. You do not dictate. You decide. You do not force her movement. You suggest direction, and through your steadiness, your refusal to fold under pressure, you create a sanctuary, not of passivity, but of clear vision. Let her feel that in your presence, burdens grow lighter, that where she hesitates, you advance, that when decisions grow thick, your voice cuts through them like steel, not with volume, but with certainty. Say, "Let's try that new place Friday," and she hears, "I've thought ahead." Say, "I've got it handled," and she feels, "I can breathe now." This is not domination, it is orchestration. The man who leads well does not erase her will, he refines it. He provides relief from overthinking, overmanaging, and emotional disarray. He is the calm at the center of her storm. Never ask her to mother you. Never collapse and beg for her emotional scaffolding. Vulnerability has its place, but never as a replacement for masculine direction. Show struggle, yes, but as a warrior who is still sharpening his blade, not as a boy seeking rescue. She does not want to carry you. She wants to feel carried by your vision. In an age drunk on reaction, true power lies in the refusal to chase. Attention is the most defiled currency of our time. It's scattered like loose change across screens, stories, and comment threads. Every woman, particularly those of high physical value, live in a digital haze of constant recognition. Messages, replies, heart emojis, good mornings from strangers she doesn't remember. This is her normal. The tragedy is not that she receives attention. The tragedy is that it means nothing anymore. To send her a message the moment she breathes is to stand in the longest line, one she doesn't even notice anymore. To reply instantly, to overcommunicate, to perform thoughtfulness without friction, is to make yourself weightless in her eyes. She does not remember the ones who always show up. She remembers the ones who arrive with impact, who pause before speaking, who create space between messages, who respond not out of habit, but with intention. Your delay is not disrespect, it is refinement. It suggests that your world does not revolve around her notifications, that you have priorities, focus, other empires to tend to, that your gaze is earned, not leased. And when you finally offer your attention, it lands differently. It is no longer just a message. It is a signal. That signal says, "I saw you, and I decided this moment was worth my energy." And that difference, that deliberateness, creates gravity. Make her feel that your attention is a spotlight, rare, warm, and directed with care. Never drown her in light. Illuminate her when she least expects it. The others flood. You strike. That's the difference between a man she scrolls past and one she dreams about. Understand now the true source of emotional binding: contribution. A woman does not fall for perfection. She falls for progress as she helped shape. The myth that women only want a finished man is false. Completion lacks intrigue, but potential with momentum, that is intoxicating. Show her that you are building, that you are evolving, that the version of you she meets today is not the final chapter, but a thrilling prologue. Invite her into your construction, not with complaint, but with vision. Share what you are crafting, what battles you are embracing, what dragons you are still learning to slay. Let her witness you facing discomfort, not collapsing in it. Tell her, I'm learning to master my mornings. Tell her, I've committed to killing my fear of public speaking. Tell her, I'm finally launching the thing I've been dreaming about for years. And then, act. In doing so, you give her something rare, a mission to emotionally support. She becomes not just a guest in your life, but a participant in your ascent. And when she invests emotionally in your growth, she binds herself to her own effort. You become not just a man. She becomes your witness, your silent architect, your co-strategist. She will not forget the man she helped build. She will not detach from the progress she poured into. Because in you, she now sees a reflection of her own emotional contribution. Not pity, not rescue, but partnership. That is how you bypass her surface instincts and strike at the deeper level, legacy. But you must remain the initiator. Do not become her assignment. You are not clay. You are fire learning to burn cleaner. She follows your energy not because you are broken, but because you are bold enough to grow. In closing, know this. The man who seeks to be liked will always be reshaped by others. The man who seeks to be respected will shape the room itself. Predictability is the poison of masculine presence. Routine dulls attraction. Constancy without variation becomes a song with no melody. Disrupt her expectations. Withdraw when she anticipates advance. Return when she assumes distance. Listen longer than usual. Speak with fewer words, but more intensity. Let your unpredictability be quiet, elegant, unnerving. Not wild, not erratic, just enough to remind her, you are not domesticated. You are simply choosing, for now, to be near. Observe, measure, adapt. Ask not, does she like me? Ask, what moves her? What fragments of my energy leave an imprint? What makes her return in thought? Stop trying to be loved. Start mastering how to be unforgettable. Because true power in attraction is not in convincing, it's in commanding attention without asking for it. When your core is undisturbed by her moods, her compliments, her silence, her tests, she begins to look up at you, not as a man desperate to hold her, but as one who could walk away at any moment and never flinch. That's what shakes her. Not your words, your composure, your restraint, your quiet indifference to validation, your unshaken core. If this truth makes your skin crawl, then good. That means you're close to evolution. The awakening is never gentle, but once you cross that line, you stop chasing and start choosing. She senses it. She shifts. The game changes. You are no longer the pawn hoping for approval. You are the hand that moves the pieces. And in that moment, you do not fall in love. You become the gravity it cannot escape.